Welcome to the lecture room. I'm Dr. Vishwas Tiwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Biology, Nirmala College, Diocese of Ujjain. Today's topic is sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Introduction. The branch of biology deals with the study of angiosperms or flower-bearing plants is known as angiology. The branch of biology deals with the study of flower only. All the aspects of the flower is known as anthology. So angiosperms, they are very specific plants having complicated body organization, and their body is basically divided into the lowermost portion, that is root, geotropic in nature, and next one is the shoot, that is phototropic in nature, then branches and canopy of the leaves, flowers and fruits, the complicated body organization. So angiosperms are most advanced group in the field of the botany, the study of plant. So if I will emphasize the evolutionary concept of the origin of the angiosperm, the evolutionary concept of origin of the angiosperms, that I remember that as per the investigation and the research, that angiosperms, they were first evolved in the Mesozoic era, more correctly the late Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic era. Actually, Mesozoic era is classified or comprises the three periods. Number one is the Triassic period, number two is the Jurassic period, and number three is the Cretaceous period. These periods are further divided into the subcategories, that is early Triassic period, the mid-Triassic period, and the late Triassic period. Similarly, the Cretaceous period, the early Cretaceous period, mid-Cretaceous period, and the late Cretaceous period. Somewhere approximately in the 100 to 150 million years ago that the angiosperms, they were evolved. Actually, this period, or I can say more correctly, the Mesozoic era is well known, very, very popular, is a golden age of the reptile in case of the zoology, or you can say the biological concept, or some reptilian concept or herpetological concept, that is the golden age of the dinosaurs. And the late Cretaceous period is actually the time period is considered as the extinction of the dinosaurs. So angiosperms, their sign and their evolution, it goes to that credit, goes to that what the investigations and research of the various botanists, that the angiosperms, they were first evolved approximately in 100 to 150 million years ago in the late Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic era. So my decision now it's very clear. The angiospermic plant, angiosperms. Actually, if I will emphasize to the classification of the plants, all the plants are basically divided into the 5 categories. Number one is that the Thallophyta, that is the group of the algae. Number two is the bryophytes. They are commonly known as moss and ferns. Pteridophytes. There is what that is specific plants, pteridophytes, tracheids, tracheophytes. They are also known as the tracheophytes, and angiosperms and gymnosperms. So angiosperm is actually they are commonly they are known as the flower-bearing plants. Flower-bearing plants and flower is the chief organ of the angiosperm, or more correctly is the reproductive organ of the angiosperm. So the flower, the beautiful part of the body of the angiosperms, okay, as I already told you that the angiosperm, that if I will start the explanation of the body of the angiosperms, the lowermost part, which is positively geotropic in nature and negatively phototropic in nature, the part is known as the root, mainly responsible for the absorption of the water, minerals, etc. Next one is the just above the at the junctional portion of the root and what the earth surface, the visible part is the shoot, also known as the stem. This part of the angiospermic plant is positively phototrophic in nature and negatively geotrophic in nature. Then it further bifurcates, demarcates into the several branches, extensive branches, and canopy of the leaves. Leaves, they have several arrangement, specific modifications, etc., etc. Similarly in the roots and shoot also. Highly organized. Variety of the angiosperms are existing all over the world. Variety. If I will emphasize that, banana tree, Ficus bengalensis is the best example. What that biggest plant having the very big life fawn. Okay. And similarly, several other, that is Ficus religiosa, Lycopersicum esculentum. Other plants, they are very common, vegetables, fruits, Mangifera indica, etc., etc., etc. So these are the angiospermic plants, fascinating all over the world and representing the main bulk of the plant science. Okay, next slide. Come to the part, the topic is sexual reproduction in the flowering plant. Before going to the topic, my dear students, the details of the topic, first we should know the meaning of some specific terms related to this topic. These terms are very important and very easy to understand the various aspects of the sexual reproduction in the flowering plant. So what are these terms? Number one is pre-fertilization events. Now what do you mean by the pre-fertilization event? Pre-fertilization event means the events or the processes, natural processes before the process of fertilization, it happens into the plant. What are these processes? These processes are including what? The development of the reproductive organ, like male reproductive organ, female reproductive organ. Okay, that I will explain later on in the detailed structure of the flower. Okay. The next one is the post-fertilization event. Events are the natural processes after the fertilization or pollination. It's a very important term. It is used in the angiospermic plants and is so post-fertilization event means the events after the fertilization, including the formation of zygote, development of the embryo, seed, etc. So all these events are collectively known as post-fertilization event. Point number third, fertilization. This is actually the phase in between the pre-fertilization event and the post-fertilization event. Very simple, fertilization. It's a characteristic feature of all the living beings, especially plants and animals. Simple definition, all over the universal definition, the fusion of male and female gamete is known as fertilization. Okay. Next one is self-pollination. Exactly, the pollination is the process where that the pollen grains, okay, they just fuses with the stigma of the flower. That is the male cell pollen grain with the stigma, and afterward that when the nucleus of the pollen grain will fuse with the nucleus of the ovary, then the fertilization will take place. Okay, so this is simple, the pollination process. If the, what do you mean by the cell pollination? The cell pollination includes that the pollination, or we can say pollen grains, they fuses or they just settle on the stigma of the same flower. Clear, that is the cell pollination. And if it is on the two different flowers, that is known as a cross pollination. Next one is pollen pistil interaction. This is actually this word is indicating that the capacitance of the pollen grains and capacitance of the pistil. Now, what do you mean by the pistil? Pistil is actually female reproductive part, which includes the ovary, then tube-like structure known as style, and the tip portion is the swollen portion is known as the stigma. Complete organization is known as the pistil. This is actually female reproductive part. So pollen pistil interaction, pollen is the male reproductive part, a male cell. So whenever that the pollen grains, they settle on the stigma. So which pollen grain is having the more capacity, or I can say the stigma or the ovary can assume or it accept the pollen grain properly. Okay, this is known as the interaction between the pollen and the pistil, between male and female. So capacitance, as we are studying in the zoology, that is what the sperms. The capacitance of the sperms, that crowd of the sperms is just attack on the outermost wall of the ovum. So only one sperm is having the capacity with comparison to the other sperms, and then it penetrates to the ovum. Similarly here, the pollen grains, not all the pollen grains are having the powerful, they are not much powerful or not having the proper capacity, but there are some pollen grains, they are more capable and they are just making the more and more chances of the pollination. So this is the concept of the pollen-pistil interaction. Next one is syngamy. Syngamy is actually the process of fertilization. But if I remember the fertilization or the types of the fertilization, they are classified into two categories, that is external fertilization and internal fertilization. Okay, if I will emphasize to the category external fertilization, so what exactly is the external fertilization outside the body? So more than many of the gametes, the male and female gametes, they fuse simultaneously, not one gamete and several other male and female gametes, not like this. Simultaneously that the fertilization externally, it takes place, the fusion of the male and female gamete, then again male and female gamete at a time. So this is crowd of the fusion of the male and female gamete is actually known as the syngamy, the process. Next one is polyembryony. Formation of more than one embryo. Yes, reproduction in the plants, it seems that it is more random with comparison to the animals. Yes, because plants actually they exist all over the world, and they are not having a proper shape and size, morphologically, anatomically, they are very, very random. So due to the fluctuation in the environmental condition, there are some other investigation research that the reproductive process is either asexual reproduction or the vegetative reproduction or the sexual reproduction is not in a systematic manner. Actually, it is randomly, it takes place randomly. Okay, so come to the point that the polyembryony is already told you that more than one, the formation of more than one embryo. Yes, can happen. Next one is apomixis and parthenogenesis. Apomixis or the parthenogenesis is that the development of the male cell without contact of the female cell is known as the apomixis or the parthenogenesis. Parthenogenetically developed. Okay, so there are some fruits like apple, like mango, they are parthenocarpic fruits. Without contact, the male cell is having the female cell is having the capacity just to develop into the complete individual. Okay, so this type of the reproduction or the process is known as apomixis or the parthenogenesis. The next one is parthenocarpic fruits. As I already told you that Mangifera indica, Melos leo, apple, they are actually parthenocarpic fruit. Okay, they develop without contact of the male, without association of the male or contact of the male, the development of the female cell directly into all the processing as in the reproduction in the angiospermic plants. Next is dormancy. Dormancy is that seeds, for example, in a particular season, they undergoes in a dormant period, resting period, that is summer season, for example. In the summer season, the seeds of the many plants, okay, there are several plants existing all over the world, so their seeds, they just undergoes the dormant period or the resting period, they become dry. Okay, and after the favorable environment, after that coming the favorable environmental circumstances, what happened? The germination time, what the rainy season, what these dormant seeds, they germinates. So this is what that approximate time period of the seeds, they are in the resting condition. That condition is known as the dormancy. Next one is cotyledons. This is a very specific term. Cotyledons is actually seed coat. As per the presence of the cotyledon, all the angiospermic plants are classified into the two categories. Category number one is monocotyledon angiospermic plants, Number 2 is dicotyledon angiospermic plants. Category number 1, monocot or monocotyledon angiospermic plants. Means the seed is covered by only one coat. Coat means a coat is made up of the tissue. That is cotyledon. Because it is one, that's why the name is derived, monocotyledon angiospermic plants. Like grasses and these crops, they are monocots. Dicotyledon angiospermic plants, all the vegetables, fruits, and they're all dicot, means their seed is covered by the two cotyledons or the two seed coats. That's why the name is given, dicotyledon angiospermic plants. So it's a very clear-cut difference, the monocot and dicot. That's why the word is given that the cotyledon. Okay. Next one is the plumule and the radicle. What do you mean by the plumule and radicle? They are actually seedlings. During the time of the germination of the seed, what happened that the two seedlings, they arises. One, it just grow upward. That is in the phototropic area. Okay. And another seedling, it grows downward inside the land surface. Okay. So that seedling, it arises from the seed, it grows downward into the land or just beneath the land surface up to some extent. That seedling is popularly known as a radicle. And that radicle will develop into the root. Yes. Next one, plumule. The seedling which is growing towards phototropic area. You can see that seedling easily. So that phototropic area, that seedling is known as plumule. And that seedling will develop into the stem, branches, and the complete part of the plant. So in this way, what the seed germinates, and the favorable season for the germination is the rainy season. Okay. Next point is embryogeny or embryogenesis. The formation of embryo, very simple. The process of formation of embryo is known as embryogeny, also known as embryogenesis. The shape and size of embryo is different in different living beings, living organisms. Not in the lower category, not like that unicellular. They are having only one cell. There is no question of embryo in the unicellular organism. So all the organized body, that highly organized plants and animals, they show the embryogeny or the embryogenesis. Next one is double fertilization after pollination. Okay. Double fertilization actually is a very specific and complicated process that takes place into the angiospermic plants. What happened actually, the pollen tube, that the nucleus of the pollen tube divides into the two parts, and the nucleus fuses to the egg cells and the other cells. Okay, so one nucleus fuses to the egg cells and other nucleus, it again divides into the fuses to the other synergid cells. So these cells then simultaneously what happened that the fertilization at a time with the egg cells and other cells takes place. This is known as the fertilization, double fertilization, the process. Also known as this usually takes place after that, after the pollination, the process of the pollination. As usual, that fertilization is a process. It takes place after the process of the pollination. Okay. Next one is emasculation and bagging technique. The emasculation bagging technique is actually an artificial technique. We can perform this technique, emasculation and bagging. What happened that in the emasculation technique, what the anther, what exactly is the anther? Okay, the male reproductive part of the flower. I will explain in detail, okay, in the next slide. Okay, so the male reproductive part of the flower is surrounding to the ovary, having the thread-like structure, the filament-like structures, okay, known as stamens. The tip of the stamen is having a lobular structure, having various modifications. That lobular structure of the one stamen is known as the anther. So, mechanical removal of the anther is known as emasculation, and the remaining emasculated flower is covered by the bag-like structure is known as bagging. This we can perform the artificial processing just if we want to improve the more and more variety of a particular plant. So we can use this technique, okay, emasculation in the bagging. Next is chasmogamy. There are some specific terms: chasmogamy, geitonogamy, cleistogamy, xenogamy. microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. So first I will explain the microspore and megasporogenesis. The process of formation of the microspore or the pollen grain from the microspore mother cell is known as microsporogenesis. Next one is the megasporogenesis. The process of formation of the megaspore or the ovule by the megaspore mother cell is known as megasporogenesis. Microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis. Microsporogenesis word is very much related to the male part, and the megasporogenesis the word related to the female part. Okay, to chasmogamy, okay, geitonogamy, cleiostogamy, xenogamy. Chasmogamy, what the processing between the part of the one flower of the fuse, or we can say fertilization process between the one flower and the species of the another flower. While in case of that geitonogamy, that the processing, what happened actually here in the normally the flower they remain totally closed due to environmental conditions, some genetic aspects, some specific organization. What happened that the what that anthers and the stigma they are remain closed. There is no possibility of that the fertilization takes place into the inside the flower. So that condition is known as the that geitonogamy. The cleiostogamy is that the flower that pollination, or you can say pollination, takes place in the pollen grains of the one flower to the pollen grains of the another flower. While in case of the xenogamy, the pollination takes place between the pollen grains of the one flower to the stigma of the same flower of the same plant. So these are some specific terms, okay, and we can say some specific natural processes. It takes place during the time of the reproduction in the flowering plant. Next slide. Now come to the very correctly the anthology, the study of flower. Most beautiful part of the angiospermic plant. Point number 1. Flower is the reproductive organ. And the flower, it develops at the canopy of the leaves, in between the canopy of the leaves. The flower is a reproductive part. It is classified, what that I can say, that the flower is having the 4 essential parts. So if I will start from this part here, okay, the stalk of the flower is known as pedicel. As similarly, the stalk of the leaf is known as petiole. Similarly, the stalk of the flower is known as pedicel. The stalk organization and modification of the stalk is different in different species of the plant, angiospermic plant. Now, this portion of the flower, the lowermost portion of the flower, okay, as per the anatomy of the flower here, this is known as the thalamus of the flower. This portion is thalamus. Clear? So the part just arising from the base of the thalamus, a greenish part of the flower, having the greenish, usually that part, the whorl of the flower is known as the calyx. So the calyx is actually the first whorl of the flower, the calyx. Calyx, usually the flowers of the different species of the flower, they have the part of the calyx are the having the 4 or 5 in number, but it's not okay. We can say as per the investigation, the number of the calyx, number of that part of the calyx that I will tell the name. Okay, there are several other in case other flowers. Okay, so the part of the calyx is known as sepal. Sepal. Calyx is usually green in color, but in some species like Bougainvillea, the calyx is colored. Okay, exceptions are everywhere, but calyx is usually green in color. So, the part of the calyx is known as the sepal. Now, sepals, the arrangement of the sepal. For example, this is calyx. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is sepals are there. Okay. So, if the sepals are fused, the condition is known as gamosepalous. This is actually condition, and genetically it exists in several species of the plant. Gamosepalous calyx. For example, Datura alba. That is a narcotic plant. Okay. So, what is the condition of the calyx into the Datura? The condition of calyx means sepals are fused. So, that's why the name is given, gamosepalous condition. If sepals are free, that calyx is known as polysepalous conditions. So this is first whole of the flower, calyx. Now following to the calyx, the most beautiful part of the flower, colorful part of the flower, having all the 7 colors of the spectrum. We can see in the flowers, their combinations all over the world. The valley of the flower in the Kashmir, in the area, Himalayan area, you can see the variety of the flower fascinating and all over the world also. So, my dear student, the beautiful part of the flower is known as the corolla. Yes, same condition as the calyx, corolla. Now, corolla, if the part of the corolla is known as petal, as the part of the calyx is known as sepal, so the part of the corolla is known as petal. So, if the petals are fused, the condition is gamopetalous. If petals are free, known as polypetalous conditions. So, gamopetalous, polypetalous, gamosepalous, polysepalous. Similar conditions. Okay, what? So, again, I can say that is in Datura, the same condition of the bell-shaped structure of the flower. Okay, the gamopetalous, gamosepalous condition. Clear? Okay, but in case of the mustard plant, Brassica campestris, what the polysepalous, polypetalous, the condition. Okay, so if the petals are free, that is polypetalous. If petals are united, that is the gamopetalous. So this is second part of the flower. Calyx, corolla. The next one is come to the reproductive part. As our topic, sexual reproduction in the flowering plant. Okay, so come to the reproductive part. The reproductive part, male and female reproductive part in the flower. Number one is the male reproductive part of the flower. Now, what exactly is the term, botanical term it is used for the male reproductive part of the flower? The term is androecium. Yes, overall male reproductive part of the flower is known as androecium. Yes. Now, what is exactly the androecium? Androecium, it consists of stamens. These are stamens as illustrating yellowish filament-like structure here. These are actually stamens. Usually 4 to 5 stamens are present in one flower, but in several other species more than 4 to 5, even in 100, 200, like in sunflower and other. Okay, there are maximum stamens they are present. So their number is not fixed. Okay, so stamens collectively they are known as androecium. Okay, so the stamens are actually filament-like structures, these stamens. Okay, so if I will just explain the structure of the one stamen. So what is inside the one stamen? The one stamen is having one base here. It is just attached to the base of the ovary, or it depends on the condition of the ovary. Clear? Okay, then a filament-like structure, that is a filament, no doubt. Then here a lobular structure having various modification in various flower. This lobular structure is known as anther. This is anther. The structure of the anther is different in different flower. The structure of the anther, in some flowers it is unilobed, in some flower it is bilobed, in some it is trilobed, tetralobed, some feathery, or there are several other structures. Okay, depends on the aquatic plant or terrestrial plant or submerged plant. Okay, there are several variety of the plant. Okay, so anther modifications, they are everywhere. Okay, so basically the anther is a lobular structure, elliptical shaped structure, oval structure. Okay, now if you will see the section of the anther, you will see that numerous particles, there are fine, minute particles are there, known as pollen grains. It means that pollen grains are found inside the anther. This is male reproductive part. Clear? So androecium, this is androecium. Okay, the we can say now the anther stamens. Okay, the arrangement of stamen is different in different flower. Clear? Sometimes what happens that the stamens are fused into the one group, stamens are fused into the 2 groups, 3 groups. Okay, so there are accordingly their name is also different. Okay, the stamens, synandrous, epandrous. Okay, there are some other, the fusion of the stamens, their grouping. Okay, so this terminology is you can study in the chapter. This is morphology of the flowering plant. Okay, so come to the as per the structure of the flower. The male reproductive part, as already told you that, the stamens. So the arrangement of stamen is different in different flower. Their arrangement like that, monoadelphous, diadelphous stamens. Okay, there is arrangement in the groups, synandrous stamens, and there is some arrangement. Okay, fascinating, just surrounding to the area of the ovary. Now come to the part of the, that is the female part of the flower, that is gynoecium. The female part of the flower is known as gynoecium, reproductive part, gynoecium. It consists of three portions. Number one is the base lobular portion. This lobular portion is known as ovary. This is the main part of the female reproductive organ of the flower, that is gynoecium. This is ovary. Then a tubular structure is known as style, and then the tip portion of the style is known as stigma. So the lobular portion is ovary, then style, then the stigma. Collectively, ovary, style, stigma is collectively known as gynoecium. Next one is this part, gynoecium, or I can say the stigma, style, and ovary, they are also known as pistil. So gynoecium and pistil, that is pistil exactly is that what that word pistil, a term, that is pistil, botanical term pistil. The reproductive part is that actually ovary, style, and stigma are collectively known as pistil. In all the aspects, this is the reproductive part. Okay, come to the part ovary. This is basal lobular part, the chamber of the ovary, carpel. And there are some partitions are also there in some species of the plant if we will compare the ovary of the different plants. Okay, so what the carpel, sometimes the carpel, the chamber of the ovary, the complete one, we can say oval shaped, the structure is carpel, and the chambers, their locules are there. So if only one carpel is there, then it's known as monocarpellary ovary. If the two carpels are there, bicarpellary ovary. Three carpels, that is tricarpellary ovary. 4 tetra, and the 5 pentacarpellary ovary. So this is what the terminology it is used for this study of the male-female reproductive part. Next, the locules. Similar the terminology is used for the locules. Unilocular ovary, bilocular, okay, in this manner. Okay, so next one is that if the ovary is just divided by the partitions, okay, these partitions, they are found inside the ovary. They're actually known as placenta. Now, placenta, the word is also, it is used in the animal kingdom, in the mammals. Placenta, that is in the viviparous organisms. Placenta, that is here the placenta is having the different meaning. Okay, the partition in between the ovules inside the locule of the ovary, that partition is known as placenta. And in each and every partition of the ovary, there are some small bead-like structures they are present, and these bead-like structures are known as the ovule. So it means that the ovules, they are present in between the partitions. Okay. Sometimes only one chamber is there. There is no partition, only one partition is there, only one placenta is there. Sometimes there are 2 chamber, 3 chamber, 4 chamber, 5 chambers. It depends on locules and carpels. So the structure of ovary, okay. The next one is style. The length of the style depends on the length of the petals and the length of the flower. Okay, the development of the style. Sometimes what happens that the length of style is very long. It exceeds to, it just terminate or exceed to the length of the petal outside. The best example is that China rose, Hibiscus rosa sinensis. What the style is more than the limit of the petals. So usually what happens that style and stigma, the length of the style and stigma is just under the arrangement of the petal or the length of the petal. Okay, anyway, so this is style and the tip is known as stigma. Stigma is the point where the pollination takes place, the lobular point. The stigma, as I already told you that the stigma is having the various modifications, organization, similarly the ovary and all the part of the flower. So ovary, style and stigma, there are 3 parts of the female reproductive part or the gynoecium, also known as pistil. So 4 essential parts: calyx, corolla, endoecium, and gynoecium. So this is complete the flower. Okay, the structure of the flower, the arrangement of the flower, the color of the flower, and we can say, if we'll go for the artificial reproductive processing, okay, we can go for the grafting and some other process. Okay, yes, that is branches. We can just use very correctly. We are extensively using these techniques. Okay, just mixing the tissues of the flower, that is in the Rosa indica. Clear. So we can just develop the variety of the flowers by these techniques. Okay. So, my students, now it is very clear that the flowers and the various part and the arrangement of the stamens and the ovary. So this is calyx, corolla, endoecium, and gynoecium. There are the 4 essential part of the flower. Okay. Next slide. Now, before going to the next slide, the flowers, angiospermic flowers, as per the variety of the flowers fascinating all over the world, as I already told you that. Okay, and this, the flowers in the vegetable, the various fruits like Mangifera indica, a bunch of the flower is there. Okay, Datura alba, that is Gamopetalus, Gamocephalus corolla, Brassica campestris. Okay, mustard plant. Okay, Santallinum album. Just expressing the name of the various angiospermic plants. Their scientific name, botanical name. Okay, so that Santallinum album, Agile marmelos. Okay, very correctly is known as bale patra. Okay, the next is Cannabis sativa, narcotic plants. Okay, pitcher plants. Okay, Nepenthes domini. Several other plants fascinating all over the world. Okay, vegetables. Okay, so now the flowers, their arrangement and the structure of the flower is different in different plant. Here, the next slide. Okay, come to the reproduction or the reproductive part. This slide is illustrating the structure of the Dithecus anther. This is actually the part anther, a complete lobe. Okay, there are 4 chambers are there. This is Dithecus anther. If there are 2 chambers, Monothecus anther and the Dithecus anther. What is anther? Actually, the tip part of the stamen is known as the anther. So the tip part of anther, the stamen. But first, we will see the structure of the anther. Okay, this is histological structure of the anther. This is transverse section of the anther. Okay, this is complete length of the anther and this filamentous portion. Okay, now this histological part of the anther is indicating that several layers. This is middle layers. Okay, the outermost layer, and the most important layer is in the center. Okay, the inner is porogenous cells, a mass or the tissue. It is present in the central portion of the anther in the 4 lobes. Surrounding a layer is there is known as tapetum layer. This tapetum layer, where the 2 lobes are connected at the center, is known as vascular strain or isthmus of the anther. These 4 lobes are just, or I can say that is the sporogenous cells surrounded by the tapetum layer. The tapetum layer is actually glandular secretory layer. Yes. So the glandular secretory layer, the tapetum layer, it secretes that very specific chemicals, sporopollenin, pollen kits. These chemicals, they are secreted from this glandular secretory layer. Okay, and now this photographs illustrating here the pollen grains. These pollen grains are numerous pollen grains. They are found inside that. Okay, so these pollen grains, they are found scattered all over the area of the anther, or they are found into the chamber, anther chamber. Okay, pollen chamber. This chamber is known as actually pollen chamber. This layer is known as endothecium layer. Just endothecium layer is overlapped by another layer is known as epidermis. So epidermis, the outermost layer, and just beneath the epidermis, the layer is known as endothecium layer. A chamber is there. According to the structure of the lobules, if there are 4 lobules, the 4 chambers are there. That chamber is pollen chamber, and inside the pollen chambers, you will see that the pollen grains are there. The number of pollen grains is not fixed. Numerous pollen grains are present. Okay, and these pollen grains, there is sporopollenin pollen kit. Okay, these pollen grains, they are very harmful in some species. The pollen grains are blowing into the air. Just we are passing to the air, Okay, they just adhere with the skin and they causes the allergy also. So whatever may be. Okay, so these are the pollen grains. They are present the male reproductive part. Pollen grains are also known as the microspores. So this is actually the structure of the pollen grain. This is vascular strain. Okay, so the lobes, the structure of the arrangement of the lobes or presence of the lobes is different in different plants. Okay, sometimes it is unilobular, bilobular, trilobular, tetralobular. Okay, so the structure of the anther is different in different. The arrangement of the anther and attachment of the anther to the filament is also different in different flower. That is basifixed, dorsifixed. Okay, so this is what the attachment of the filament with the anther is different. Okay, so this is what the structure, complete area of the anther and the arrangement of the pollen grains inside the anther. Next slide. So this is male reproductive part, anther. Now come to the female reproductive part, ovule, the structure of the ovule. This is actually longitudinal section of the ovule. The female reproductive part, that is ovules. Ovules, as we already studied in the previous slide, that is the ovules. They are found inside the ovary, in between the partitions like placenta in the ovary. So these ovules are attached to the placenta by a flap-like structure. That flap-like structure is known as funicle. So this is what the flap-like structure is, that attached to the placenta inside the ovary. Okay, and this is longitudinal section of the ovary. We can say first we'll study that structure of the ovule, and then I will tell you that the arrangement of this lobular structure in different flower. Okay, now come to this part. This structure, the outermost layer of the ovary is known as the raphe. This portion is known as raphe. Just beneath the raphe, this portion is known as hilum. Okay, this portion just opposite to the micropylar end, this portion is known as chalaza. So it's also known as chalazal end. So this is chalazal end, and just here the tissues, the compactly arranged tissues, they are present here. The area is known as, just beneath the chalaza, the area is known as nucellus. Okay. Now inside the nucellus there is complete, we can say, the structure. It is having the 3 cells are there, known as antipodal cells at the anterior portion. Okay. The middle one is that the secondary nucleus, and the egg cell, the nucleus is present. While here that the synergids are present. So antipodals are there at the anterior position, and synergids they are present towards the micropylar end. Okay. So that is 7-cell 8 nucleated stage, it is present here. Okay. The egg cells that is present here. Okay, there are 3 cells. They are compactly arranged, triangular structure. Okay, and secondary nucleus is in the center. So this complete mass, okay, is present inside the ovule. Okay, in the future the endosperms and then embryo, the development of the embryo will take place from here. Okay, so this is embryo sac actually. The embryo sac is surrounded by the nucleus and then surrounded by the chalaza. Okay, and the raphe, hilum, and the funicle. This is complete the longitudinal section. These 2 flap-like structures are originating outside, okay, emerging. And this is known as the outer integument. The outer integument actually covering to the micropylar end. Okay, so just this is the mouth of the micropyle. Okay, and chalaza is just opposite to the micropyle. Okay, now the arrangement of this lobular structure along with the funicle is different in different flower. Sometimes Campylotropous, Sarcinotropous, ovule. Okay, Anotropous ovule. This is according to the position of the micropyle with the plan of the funicle. Sometimes the plan of the funicle is this, and the arrangement of the ovule is this. So the micropyle will be here and the chalaza will be here. Okay, sometimes the arrangement like this, sometimes it's just encircling. So according to these Anotropous ovules, Campylotropous ovules, Sarcinotropous ovules, their arrangement is fascinating all over the world in the different plants. Okay, come to the next slide. This slide is indicating the microsporogenesis and the megasporogenesis. As I told you that the formation of the microspore or the pollen grain from the microspore mother cell is known as microsporogenesis. That is development of the male reproductive part. And the formation of the megaspore or the ovule from the megaspore mother cell is known as megasporogenesis. That is female part. Okay. So this slide illustrating here the pollination and fertilization, the complete processing of the flower, we can just flower and sexual reproduction in the flowering plant. Okay. So now here, if we will emphasize to this portion, come to this part, this is the male part, this is the female part. Okay. Here, this is stamen, anther, and inside that anther, the pollen grains are there. These pollen grains, how the microsporogenesis takes place here. The microspore mother cells, these microspore mother cells actually, they undergoes the cell division, the mitosis cell division. Afterwards, they divides into the 2 parts and then simultaneously into the 4 parts. That is known as the tetrad formation takes place. Now, after that meiosis, that following to that, the microspore mother cells encircling to the hard outermost cover, a coat is there, that is the outermost wall, and then it develops into the 2 parts, that is known as generative cells and the tube cells. Following to the development, the microgametophyte is known as pollen grain. It develops, okay. Now, completely after the formation of the tetrad, the microspore is formed. This microspore is now what exactly the structure of the microspore or the pollen grain? The outermost wall of the pollen grain is hard. It is unaffected by the environmental conditions. Okay, that outermost wall of the pollen grain, it is different in different. It having the structure different in different species of the plant. Sometimes it's spiny. Okay, they're very hard. The wall is known as exine. Okay. Just inside that, the mass, inner wall, the inner layer or inner mass of the pollen grain is known as intine. And inside the intine, you will see the nucleus is there, a conspicuous nucleus is there. Okay. Now come to this part, the female part, the megasporogenesis. In the megaspore mother cell, what happened, the similar development, it takes place here. And the formation of the ovule. Okay. The following to the mitosis and meiosis. The megasporogenesis, the formation of the synergids, eggs and polar nuclei, and afterwards a complete embryo sac is formed, okay, in the ovule. So this is known as megasporogenesis, the processing of the megasporogenesis, okay. So antibodal cells, synergid cells and egg cells, the complete 7 cells, 8 nucleated stage is there, okay. So this is microsporogenesis and megasporogenesis, the complete processing. So in the microsporogenesis, megasporogenesis, the result of the microsporogenesis, the formation of the pollen grain takes place. Result of the megasporogenesis, formation of the ovule or the megaspores takes place here. Okay. Now, these reproductive part, they are ready for the fertilization, pollination and fertilization. Now, what exactly the difference between the pollination and fertilization? Okay. The fusion of the pollen grain with the stigma of the flower is simply known as pollination, not fertilization. Okay. Fertilization, it takes place after pollination. Means the pollen grains. Pollen grains are microscopic structures. Again, I will emphasize that, I will explain that the pollen pistil interaction, the power or capacity of the pollen grain, the which pollen grain is facilitated to pollinate with the stigma or the acceptance of the stigma, okay, to the pollen grain, okay, what that depends, the pollen pistil interaction. So stigma, it accepts. So pollen grains, not all the pollen grains are that's accepted by the stigma. As some powerful pollen grains, this is known as pollen pistil interaction. Clear? Okay. So for example, that one pollen grain is just settled or land on the stigma. So that what happened, that outermost exine, the wall, it ruptures. And simultaneously, the intine, okay, will develop gradually in the form of the small tube-like structure. See here. So a tube-like structure is arising after the rupture of the exine wall. And this tube-like structure is arising gradually, clear? Okay. And what happened, the nucleus, okay, divides into the 2 parts. Okay. The one nucleus is just passing through the tube. Okay. This tube is known as pollen tube. Okay. So, if I will show the diagram, that is the this diagram. Okay, see here, this is stigma. This is stigma, and here what happened, actually the pollen grains, a pollen tube is forming here. These are the pollen grains, pollen tube is forming. Now, after the formation of the pollen tube, along with the nucleus is already divided into the pollen grain at the tip portion, that divided primary nucleus, and so we can just say what the name primary nucleus is, secondary nucleus. Okay. The primary nucleus along with the tube is just inserting and passing and developing, okay, through the style, and finally reaches up to the usually up to through the micropylar end, but it's not fixed. Okay, in some species of the plant, it can enter through the chalazal end, it can enter through the portion in between the micropylar and the chalaza. Okay, then finally the tube, it just enters inside. Okay, what happened? That nucleus will fuse into the egg nucleus, and then again it will divide, and then the condition, okay, it takes place the polyembryony, what that just it fuses. Okay, so it depends. So what that the nucleus will fuse here into the embryo sac, and this is known as fertilization. So whatever be the event here is pollination, the event here is a fertilization. So this is what the basic difference between the pollination and fertilization. If the pollination takes place in between the the stamens, between the pollen grains and stigma of the same flower, is known as cell pollination. And if the pollination takes place in between the pollen grains of the one flower into the stigma of the another flower of the same plant, clear? Okay, so that is the two different bisexual flower, that is a cross pollination or the cross fertilization, the process takes place here. Okay, so what that the pollination and fertilization, they are two different things. Pollination and fertilization. Okay, in aquatic plants, what happened actually, this pollination, again come to the back. Okay, I'm going through that again, that slide. Okay, this slide. Okay, now this process of the pollination, it is brought about by some other agency of some other living beings also. Is it clear? Like animals, like bat, and like water and some other agents. Okay, so according to their pollination, how the accidentally that pollination is brought about by the agency of some other like the, for example, if pollination is brought about by the water, then it's known as hydrophily. A very specific term is used for that. If the pollination or the, we can say the pollen is carried by the water, through the water in the aquatic plants, okay, so that's why this type of the pollination, where the pollen grains are carried by the water, are floating with the water, and then accidentally fused to the or settle to the stigma of the any flower. This is known as hydrophily. So by the agency of water, the pollination, the condition is known as hydrophily. Next one is accidentally any animal is passing through the majority of the angiospermic plants where the several flowers are there. Okay, what will happen actually, so that the pollen grains will adhere at the skin of the animals, and what that these animal is accidentally passing to the flower of another flower, and they are just the pollen grains are just fused with the stem of that respective flower. This is known as the agency of the, we can say pollination, agency of the pollen grains. Okay, agency by, we can say, animals. Okay, this is known as anemophily. Okay. So this type of pollination brought about by the animals, the agency of the animal is known as anemophily. Similar that herbivorous bat. What bat? Very specific flying mammal. Okay, herbivorous bat. There are two species of the bat actually. That is bloodsucker vampires, Desmodus rotundus, and the herbivorous species, that is Pteropus pteropus. Okay, so this herbivorous species, the bat, often they are in between the flowers and in between the fruits. So the pollination is brought about by the bat is known as chiropterophily. Okay, so specific terms, they are very important for the examination. Okay, in the short answer questions, that is chiropterophily, anemophily, hydrophily. Now, if the pollination is brought about by the birds, yes, no doubt, birds, they are known by the avian adaptation. Okay, they are in the several branches, they are flying to thousands of the kilometers. Okay, but the birds, okay, if the pollen grains, they are adhered with the body of the birds, okay, and the pollination is brought about the birds, is known as the ornithophily. The condition is known as ornithophily. So these are the terms. How the pollination is accidentally, okay, takes place through this water, birds, bat, etc., etc. So this is what the process of the pollination. Okay, I can show that the exactly the this is megasporogenesis. Okay, if you want to see the any detail of the megasporogenesis, these slides are very clear. Just for the this is the number one. Okay, the illustrating that portion of the tissue, that is micropylar end, nucellus, and megaspore mother cell. Okay, now here the develops into mitosis cell division takes place here. and the megaspore dyad is forming here. Nucellus, this is structure is the microbial end is there. Okay. Similar condition is the megaspore tetrad is forming. Again, the cells will divide. Okay. And ultimately, the formation of the complete embryo sac takes place here in the ovule. Okay. So this is megasporogenesis. Okay. Now come to the next slide. Okay. Again, now this slide is indicating following to the after the pollination and the fertilization, what will happen? Okay. The formation of the embryo sac, okay, takes place. The development of the embryogeny or the embryogenesis. Okay, so what will happen? This is what the process, this is complete gynoecium or the pistil here. During fertilization, the condition of the pistil, and now it's complete, the process is over. Okay, and afterwards that this is embryo sac is totally formed after fertilization. There are 3 antipodal cells at the anterior portion. In the central portion, the endosperm cells with the 2 polar nuclei, they are present. And last one, the synergid cells are there. Okay. Now, complete form embryo, it enlarges in the size. Okay. Then it enlarges and afterwards in the form of the cotyledons. Okay. Okay. In the detail, I will show you that the slides. Yes, here. This is the detail. What happened that? Okay. The fertilized basal cells. These fertilized basal cells, they divides into the 2 cells, that is apical cells and the lowermost cells. It's swollen in size. Then again, these cells, they divides. The basal cells will reach up to the terminal portion here, and this mass is just forming in a lobular structure. Okay, this is suspensor and this basal cell. So the basal cell at the tip of the suspensor cell. Now the anterior lobular mass will develop into the cotyledon, 2 cotyledons, and these 2 cotyledons are now just elongating here. So elongation of the cotyledon with the shoot and apex that is developing, the meristematic tissues are. There are actually 2 types of tissues that are found in the plant. That is the meristematic tissues and the secondary tissues. The meristematic tissues are actually primary tissue. There's apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and there's other meristematic tissues. Okay, they are growing tissue actually when the plant is very small. Okay, after the germination, the growth of the tissue by the mitosis cell division of the meristematic tissue. So the meristematic tissue, they are very specific tissues. Okay, that is the developing or growing tissues, and afterwards the tissues, they will develop into the several other organization, histological organization like xylem, phloem, cambium. There are several other in the time of the secondary growth. Okay, so these meristematic tissues are growing tissue. Okay, and these cotyledons are fully formed cotyledons. Okay, now these cotyledons, okay, this covering to the seed and the seed coat completely. As I told you that if the seed is covered by only 1 cotyledon, that is known as a monocotyledon seed, and if it is covered by that, the 2 cotyledons known as the dicotyledon seed. So this is the formation of the seed. Now seed, that is, they undergoes the development period, okay, in the summer season, and then they will germinate. Okay, so this is complete process right from the microsporogenesis to the megasporogenesis. Okay, and the complete formation of the male and female reproductive part, and pollination, fertilization, and the processing, it takes place here. Okay, this slide, if I will show you that how the formation of the seed takes place. Seed actually, that is the last the portion of the, we can say, developing or developed portion of the angiosperm plant is the fruit. Okay, that is the seed. Fruit is actually the enlargement of the ovary, and seeds, they are found inside that. Okay, so the development of the fruit is different in different, we can say, plants. That is, sometimes what happens, the epicarp is more and more developed, the mesocarp is negligible, and the endocarp is, okay, developed. Okay, so it depends on that. Not all the 3 layers are exactly developed here. Okay, and the various fruits. Okay, so some fruits are parthenocarpic fruits, some fruits are drupe, and several other, we can say, types of the fruits, they're developing all over the world. Clear? Okay, so the seeds as the formation here. Now it is completely clear that the embryo sac showing to the double fertilization, the portion, okay, the developing seed. The seed is completely developed here. Okay, the development of the seed and the development of the embryo is different in monocotyledon plant, and the development in the dicotyledon plant is different. Okay, so that they develop in blooms, no doubt. Okay, as I told you that the process of reproduction is very, very random in both monocotyledon and dicotyledon plants. The process is due to what exactly is the reason is that the fluctuation in the environmental conditions, like the 5 important factors, the light, temperature, water, humidity, and the pressure, because they are always fluctuating. All the living beings are under the influence of these environmental factors. Okay, so these environmental factors, if they are fluctuating drastically, so what happened actually? What they just alter the sequence and organization of the genes inside the cells. So once the genes are mutated due to the environmental conditions, these fluctuating environmental conditions, so you will see that if genes are mutated, then what that structure will develop into the different organization. That's why the biodiversity and the variations, they're all over the world. This is actually the biodiversity. What exactly is the root of the biodiversity? What is exactly the root of the variations? The variations are genetic variations actually. And if variations are there, you will see that the variety of the living beings, the variety of the plants and animals, they are found all over the world. So how this variety of the plants and animals, they are found? They are only because of the gene mutations. So gene mutation is actually the criteria of evolutionary sequence also, and the criteria of the variation also. So variation and evolutionary sequence. So this is what exactly is known as the sequence of the biological evolution. The sequence of the biological evolution is totally depend on the genetic aspects. The chief genes are changing gradually. So they causes the mutations. The mutations that is causes the external change in the external appearance, internal organization, whatever may be. This is the main, we can say, the reason of the variety of the plant all over the world. Randomness depends on that, the same genetic aspects. So the randomness is more observed into the plants with comparison to the animals. Unicellular, multicellular. Similarly, in the plants also, we can say the algae, the reproductive process in the algae is very simple, unicellular algae. Clear? And while in case of the bryophytes and pteridophytes, the gradual development of the reproductive organs like Anthridium, Archegonium in the bryophytes and pteridophytes. Alternation of generation, it takes place. So they are slightly more advanced than the theriophytes. And come to the angiosperms and gymnosperms, flower-bearing and flowerless plants, gymnosperms. What that the development of the male and female reproductive organ, that is androecium, gynoecium, and complete organization of the plant. So all these things, actually, the evolutionary sequence depends on the evolutionary sequence, how the evolution of the living beings, it takes place. So this is what the sexual reproduction in the flowering plants. There are several terms it is used in this chapter. They are very important for the examination. The terms. So these terms and important diagrams for the examinations, that is structure of the anther, structure of the ovule, and their important key questions for the examination. So this is chapter. For further queries, you can consult to me for any question. Thank you very much.
For latest videos and updates, like, share and subscribe. For instant notifications, press the bell icon.